show which reveals that everyone is connected. Today, as always, our three contestants are part of the same vicious circle. Let's meet them. Tell us briefly a few things about the vicious circle of your life.
Good evening. My name is Andriana, and for 25 years I ran a publishing house, which I inherited from my father. Unfortunately, I no longer have it. During the economic crisis, I faced many difficulties which, of course, I tried to overcome. I had to cut salaries, do as few redundancies as possible, but I didn't make it and my company went bankrupt.
Thank you, Andriana. Applause for Andriana.
I'm very happy to be here tonight. It's my favorite TV show. I watch it every night.
Oh, thank you very much. We are indeed the favorite Greek TV show of all time. Tell us then a few things about yourself and your name.
My name is Stamatis. I'm a retired plumber and I live in the countryside. I have an unpaid mortgage, and in order to survive, I used to rent a small house I have in Athens to get the rent. However, my tenant stopped paying the rent, so my loan has hit red.
Thank you, Stamatis. Applause for Stamatis. And the rest.
Yes, hello, good evening to everybody. My name is Leonidas. I studied political science and economics in a city away of my hometown. So to cover my studies, I was working at a small publishing house. And after that, I was working for, must be 15 years in another small publishing house in Athens.
Thank you, Leonidas. Applause for Leonidas.
So, our three players for this evening. An ex-owner of a publishing house that went bankrupt, Andriana. One of the firm's fired ex-employees, Leonidas. And Leonidas' ex-landowner, Stamatis, that his loan, unlike me, is non-performing. Where does all this happen? In vicious circle.
Let's
so,
Now, thank you. Let's play. We'll start with an easy question. Dear players of Vicious Circle, what percentage of the Greece's population do you believe to be in a difficult financial state? Andriana.
I believe it is around 50%.
Wrong. What a pity. I really thought it was an easy question. It's 70%. To be precise, because our show wants also to be educational, we are talking about 69% of the population, 13% of which live in poverty, and 56% is in a really difficult financial situation. Next question for Vicious Circles team. Applause! What percentage of a household's income does the housing surcharge represent? To make it clearer for our viewers, in relation with the total income of household, what percentage do you think goes in housing needs? Come on, Chris.
From my experience, but not knowing the statistics, I would say 50%.
Well done! Applause for somebody! One more time, experience proves to be an asset in Vicious Circle. Moreover, 40% of Greek households cannot cope with the cost of their habitation, rented or owned. Next question. What place does Greece hold in the ranking of the countries with the highest rate of homelessness?
Homelessness.
Yes? Leonidas.
Well, as far as I know, holds the 13th place.
All right, Tom. Good job, Leonidas. Applause for Leonidas. My friends, the precarity in housing that our contestants, but also all of you from your homes feel, is huge. Pay attention in the next question. How many are the empty, vacant, non-in-use public buildings in Athens? Stamatis.
I would say around 30,000.
Wrong. What a pity, wrong. There are 70,950 pieces of public buildings, 70,000 of finance ministry, 650 on single social security entity, and 265 on manpower employment organization. And their total area covers 1,160,000 square meters. Oh!
But that means that it could be a solution.
What a revelation!
The state could help to the...
What magical moments only here in a Evasive Center! Let's now continue with the favorite category of our viewers, the non-performing loans. For the ones that are watching us for the first time, we are referring to the holders that cannot repay their loans. The average yearly income of debtors in 2008 was up to 28,418 euros. And the question is, what is approximately their average yearly income today? Adriana.
Taking into consideration everything that has happened, the layoffs, the salary cuts, I would say it's 10,000 euros.
Oh. Samatis?
Can I play my wild card? Because I think she's saying little.
Little. Do you remember that if you use your wild card and you give a wrong answer, you will not be able to take part in the game for the next two rounds?
I know that. I take the risk and I say 15,000 euros.
So, here comes the moment of truth. The average yearly income of borrowers in 2008 was 28,418 euros. But today is 8,000 euros. I'm really sorry. You both lost. And you, Stamati, cannot participate in the next round. Sorry. Let's move on. According to recent data of Municipality of Athens, how many citizens rely on social infrastructure for their survival? Adriana.
It's 10,000 citizens.
Whoa. Sorry.
No, that's
Yes. I would also like to use my wild card.
please.
But I believe it's not 10,000 citizens. It must be around 20,000 citizens.
Exactly! Double of what Adriana answered. Approximately 20,000 people rely on the infrastructure of the municipality of Athens for their survival, and fun fact, the 44% of them has a higher level of education. Next question. In what percentage did the unemployment rise in Greece for the past year? Leonidas?
Yes, again, me. The rise, it must be 25%.
Excellent, Leonidas! Once again, applause for Leonidas! The number of unemployment people rose by 25%, and 20,000 people are now homeless in our country. Excellent, Leonidas. I see that you are doing really well with this question.
Yes, because I am homeless.
But that's why, my friend, you are today in vicious circle, of course.
As it gets revealed, Leonidas is homeless. When he was 63 years old, he lost his job in Adriana's publishing house and started working temporarily when he was able to find something to do. His national insurance stamps were not enough for him to get a pension, and that led to the extinction of his savings within a period of 8 years and to his inability to pay the rent for the apartment he rented from Stamatis in Kypseli.
It's all your fault.
Where will you go now?
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Are you gonna tell to your daughter what happened?
And all those years of studying?
You didn't try hard enough.
And now, what?
And now, what? Get on with it. Can you hear me? Get on with it. Get on.
That was okay.
Would you like to share some feelings that you may felt during the play? Yeah.
That was a Portuguese reality.
That one?
Portuguese reality.
Yeah.
Very well.
Do you have other experiences that you would like to share, like personal or from your background, from your circle, or from your country?
Yes.
In Georgia, I'm sorry, I will speak always in Georgia because I have more experience there. So it happens that when you grow in a family, if you are a woman, and now it's changing, but like my mom's generation happened that if you divorce after, you don't have a place to go. Because like families, houses are for the boys. So it's a kind of tradition which is very ugly because by law, it's your house. So if you start this like to go to the court and if you ask it, but nobody will think that like, because for example, when my mom divorced with my father, she has no place to go. And then it was, of course she returned with the parents, but you have a sense that it's not your house and it's never been your house. And it is not only my reality, how I grew, but it's like every divorced family had this problem because the thing is that you are not having your property after if you, and then it grows more problem because then if you have a problem, you don't have the house to go. So you stay with frustration with the relationship because you just don't have another way.
What about the state? What is the role of the state in this?
If a woman does not have any conditions to find a house, they provide. But it's so difficult to get this kind of like houses to go there because it's full. It's not enough, and also to go there, it's like a shame, and it means that if you go there and you are on governments like. They don't pay for you, just give conditions to be there, you can work, but then it's a shame and people don't even socialize this, like it's not really help So if you are there, you need to hide because it's a shame. So it's not working.
Yes? I think the state likes to have written in the newspapers, have published in the newspapers that they're doing a great job taking care of everybody that needs it. But when you actually need it and you have to resort to, it's not like that. You have time to die before they will help you.
In other countries, do you have something to add?
I mean, it's really classic. After a divorce, that the mother and the child stays in the flat, and the man is becoming homeless or in need of looking for a place. And many times, there are a lot of times when they are facing alcoholism, also these guys, and this is like in the vicious circle of being without family, drinking more, but divorcing because of drinking, and a lot of things. And of course, homeless shelters also have really strict rules, what can happen and what cannot not happen. And of course, people say they don't want to go to the homeless shelters because the people are stealing or the conditions are not that good, and they prefer to live their own way on the street. Actually in the big forest, there are a lot of homeless people also where in this area where we are right now. If you go deeper in the forest where there are small towns or villages or houses next to each other are even built in the nature. And also there are a lot of programs, like sometimes hot food is provided by the system. I think in Debrecen you can eat at 4 or 5 places. Hot food every day, lunch, but on the weekend usually not, so there's nothing for the weekend, though you have to have. Also there are some NGOs who are doing initiatives for home delivery for homeless people of food on bikes.
Thank you. Yes, can I ask you, you mentioned they have a kid, what if they don't have a kid?
Say again?
If they have a kid,
after divorce? Well, I don't know. It's often if there's. I'm not an expert, but this is really a classic story. If there's a divorce and there's a kid, the flat stays for the woman. No, the kid stays with the woman, and then they stay in the flat, and the man leaves, or they live in the same flat, but then in 2 different rooms. But I'm not sure how with the divorces are. But this is really a classic story for. You see a lot of men on the street living. It's that homelessness what we are talking about, and not the ones whom you don't even know that they are homeless, but they are living in these institutions.
I would like to pose a distinction that I saw in the play and that I personally am really sensitive about during my research about empty and vacant buildings in Athens many years ago. I think that many discussions about this topic tend to focus mostly on the word homeless and homelessness, so which is in a sense the final stage of a long road in which one of the first steps is actually what we call in the play the housing precarity, meaning the insecurity that you face of losing your house, which actually I heard in some personal stories that were shared today, talking exactly about that. And I don't know, I feel that in Greece specifically, we need to distinguish this topic because housing precarity and people that are insecure of losing their houses and their residence are potential homeless. And it seems that the data don't even consider them. We just talk about homeless and how we should target homeless, but then there's a queue waiting to add into your issue, and the vicious circles goes on, as it was shown in the play. And I know I'm very sensitive about that, and I don't know if anyone is.
Any comments? Do you agree?
I do.
Yeah.
It happens, in fact, that people can the money they have is only enough to pay certain bills, and then they can keep the house, not the rest. And of course, in a while, it will end in homelessness or something similar.
Yes. I don't know if this is related because I thought I have, but
A bit loud?
I don't know if this is related, it's just a thought I had, but then this what we mentioned with the house is that yes, you can give a house to a homeless person, but then how they will take care of this house and the bills and everything. So it's not about just the roof of the head, it's much more that you need to give these opportunities and what people mentioned, like job opportunities, and to help them, to support them so they stand on their own legs and then to live their life.
First you, then you, and then I.
Okay, I wanted to comment on a few things, maybe a bit from Romania, but it's just my personal subjective opinion. I don't really know if it's a representation. So I think the communist legacy in Romania had an influence on how much in danger are people to be homeless, because actually the communist system was giving houses to everybody. So our parents or our grandparents had the property. So if nowadays young people want to buy their own houses or flats or whatever, they do loans and they can be in risk. But then if any crisis is happening, they can go back to their families. Yeah? So they have house in the family. And it's also a bit of cultural thing regarding the family support system. Okay, you want to live alone, but you can't live alone anymore. Then you have a family to go to, people share houses, 3 generations and so on. Like this was happening in Romania for a long time. Living with your parents and maybe sometimes grandparents involving and raising children and so on. So these are influencing also the vulnerability and situation of people. So yeah, a little bit from my point of view regarding Romania.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Yes. In Norway we have different sorts of solutions, state solutions. So if you're not working, you have working, so the state is subsidizing 80% of your salary for a period. The state is supporting 80% of your salary for a period. And then you have to find a new job. And then if you can't pay your bills, then you apply for coming into a certain program. And then they may give you a house, or if you have a house, they may pay some of the rent. So it's different sorts of program. You know, so people are quite secure.
So they rate, from what I hear, they rate the stages of insecurity.
Maybe you apply and then they say, no, you have a big house, it's too big for you. And then
that's interesting.
You have to sell it, and so then we may help you afterwards.
So the system targets actually the stages. Like
yes.
if they consider you richer, they rate you. And if they consider you more in danger, they give you more, from what I understand?
Yes, up to a certain level.
Okay.
They don't give you, G1, they give you a certain amount and then never more.
So it's not enough. They target the issue, but it's not enough, you would say.
During COVID, I was unemployed for a little period of time, and then just for 50%. But we managed. So.
Okay, thank you, because the rest are not really listening to you.
Okay.
So I will stop you. Annie?
I just want to add that sometimes it's not just the social problems which makes only that, it's also the state, like you asked me, and that time I was not really aware more about concentrating about feelings. But the big issue is that the banks are not controlled at all by, like, there is national bank, that there is private, and there is a very big team who works directly for the people to lose houses. So they go each by one houses and say that if you need money, let's put your house, and the people who are not everywhere, they are signing, and then it's very big problem. It's even movement now not to lose house, because there is like there are steps. They go, people, okay, if you have financial struggle, you sign and then you lose house. And it become normal nowadays. So every day we know that somebody needs to leave house because they cannot pay back, and then they have signed, which they even don't know what they signed, and the government does not do anything. So they don't secure this kind of situation.
Okay, we have heard several examples from countries that the problem is in a way
solved. The insecurity is much
less.
It's less. One example from Romania that had to do with family structure and state structure. And
with the legacy of communism.
The legacy of communism. In Greece, all these facts that we have presented are statistics from last year. So it's the reality right now after the crisis. And I was wondering, yes.
Good question. If possible, the empty public houses. Is it the state who owns it, or is it already sold out?
It is the state.
Okay.
Several departments of the state, like the unemployment office, the social security office, and what would you suggest as a solution for what I presented you to happen in Greece, or as Annie said, in Georgia or in Portugal?
Communism.
Communism?
How
for everyone?
I mean, communists definitely made sure that everybody has house, job, and basic needs covered.
So the problem
is the governing system, isn't it?
Yeah, but in a lot of countries, like in Germany, they often don't own private property, the house that they are living, but they are renting, and then they move to another town, and they are still happy and economically well. So it's not always that because of, like in Romania, in Hungary, the same way, like you have to have your own house or flat or something. It was embedded during communist times, and we are inheriting this from our parents, that you should buy a flat and then, or we will build a double house and then you can live on the top, then nobody is going to live there because the kids are living. So we have a lot of empty houses. So maybe it's also considering for rent. And then maybe, I mean, I'm just also thinking of that it's economic problem also, that you can't afford to rent. Maybe that's the problem, you don't earn enough to rent, because renting a flat, you can be still as happy, you don't have to have your roots at an early age.
What about with rent?
But that's the thing that because I met also German people, even one German said, oh, I heard that for the old age. And then they said, we are renting, we are always renting. Yeah, but then you are renting, what if you don't have money for rent? So if you don't have money for it, you have your own house. But then you make a bank loan, so you pay the same money renting, but you will have a house at the end. So it's like a security for the later age.
Yeah, but if the economy is good enough, you don't have to have this backup security, because if anything is happen, you might not be having social welfare coming from the state. Or in Hungary, it's only 3 months, and it's not unemployment benefit, but job searching aid. So you, for 3 months, they pay you some minimal wage. For free. After that, nothing. You get, and if you have any private property, you don't even get the social aid. So if you own a flat, you get nothing. If you own a car, you get nothing after 3 months. So I also think it's not just the housing problem, but it's rather the economic problem that we are talking about. Because if you have that security, you don't have to worry. And then you can.
Okay, so the solution would be, yes?
I was want to comment on what Andrea said, because if you know that tomorrow you don't have a job and you are renting house, it can be a very big problem. Also, you don't feel secure when you are renting, because every time owner can come to you and say, I want to give somebody or grow it. And I have passed through years this, and I know. And when I look now that 5-6 years I was paying my rent because I was from the countryside and I went for university and I needed to pay. And when I calculate how much I have paid, it was like, come on, I could buy car, I could do if I had house and possibility. That's why. And I also like communism in the past in that way, because my parents, no, but my grandparents remember that food for everyone, house for everyone. So and there is no this.
Yeah, but stay at home, don't leave the border. So okay,
yeah.
Okay, that's what they're into that. And don't talk openly like this.
So
okay, we should never have this discussion in communism.
Do you have other solutions, or maybe how to get to communism if everybody?
Communism but with freedom.
What? Yes.
I mean, I don't have. I'm not very knowledgeable in this topic.
She's not very knowledgeable in this topic, yes.
So I don't have any concrete solution, but then again, my philosophy is this it's not cheesy quote, but this quote, don't give man a fish, but teach him how to fish. So I think, like, because also I'm coming from Macedonia. In Macedonia, like in Romania, we very rarely people like are losing their houses. Like they have a place, but then they live in these miserable conditions where they really can't afford like to put effort into like finding a proper job and stuff like this, and then they also don't have support. So my solution would be somehow to focus on empowering these people, like people that are already came on this level for whatever reasons, like to find a way how to support them, like what God was saying, what they're doing in Norway, like to support them for some limited time of months where they can like stand up on their own legs, and then, of course I don't have any concrete, but I think that could be.
Well, thank you so much. Speak is enough. Yeah?
We hear you.
Everyone hear me? Okay, thank you so much. I cannot talk about the solution, but I think I can say, for example, the first step. Because I was volunteer at the Food for Life in Hungary, in Debrecen. On the corner, in near this place, no. And I met with many people, with many homeless people, for example, not just homeless people, but met them, and I met with people who firstly had normal behavior. Few years passed, so few years later, they started become acting this bad behavior with addictions, aggressive attitudes. It's like an animal, and if somebody stuck. Thank you. Stuck in this trap. I think the helping is impossible. So I think the first step could be the rehabilitation. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so
in my opinion, first, it's not just the only solution, because this problem has many parts, and many parts. Yes. But the first, when somebody stuck in this trap, as I said, no one who can help. I think.
Even yes, not addiction. Something is often like mental health problem. Like
yes,
it can be depression.
I wrote an article about a solution that the Swiss.
You wrote?
No, I read article that is. I don't think it's a good solution, but they think it's a good solution. A city in Switzerland, they offered a voucher for a ticket and like 20 euros to the homeless people to leave the country and to sign the contract that they can come back. So the solution for them is like
deportation.
Yeah.
On their own.
20,000. It's like not 20 euros.
20 euros.
They offered a voucher to leave the country and to sign a contract that they can come back. So what they are doing is like the solution is not. That's true.
How much money?
I think it's like 20 euros. No.
20 euros.
Would you leave there?
No, I'm not saying it's a good solution. I'm just exposing.
But it sounds unrealistic.
Please put it on the WhatsApp file very quickly.
You can't go out. Yes, it would be very nice to find out. Send us. No. You? Somebody back. No. You, then you, and then
Okay, I can relate to this, but I had encountered a problem, a similar problem about 6 months ago. As I was trying to help someone my age, he was something like 21 years old, and I really related to him because he was a smart guy, living on a street. Yeah, I'm saying that I'm also smart, and this is why I related to him. And I really tried to help him. and I found, I developed this master plan. I found out that he had HIV, and I tried to get him to the doctor, and tried to provide him some shelter for 2 months until he got his first job and whatever. But I relate also to something that Gabor said. Once you get to this point in which you're living on the street, you develop some bad habits, and you don't want to get from that bad habits and start working again. You want to be independent and enjoy freedom of work, of living on the streets. And
You don't want to?
you don't want to. You don't want to. This is something very shocking for me, as I was trying to help him, but he didn't accept my help. So what the state has to be is to empower them, and to empower them to want to change their behavior.
Okay. Yes. I was actually really triggered by what Duarte said before, and I have found your comment as one of the most interesting I heard, actually. And I just found out an article googling that Swiss City offered a city, so not the state.
Yes.
Swiss City offers homeless one-way tickets to other countries if they agree to not return. So you asked Violetta before about solutions regarding the state. So this is an example of how state views homelessness and housing precarity. So, and one solution could be to take the issue and try to tackle it. This is a way, not successful that you mentioned in Norway, but this is a way tackling the issue itself. Here we have a state, one of the most prospering in Europe, I hear, trying to avoid it, trying to take it out of the issue. So, talking about solutions, this is a solution, this is an extreme one. And this has to be targeted specifically. We talk about social issues of homeless, but if we are hosted by a state that does not even want to see the issue, just to tackle it out with an eraser, what can you say after that?
I think they should have given 20 euros at least.
They gave $30. Okay, $30 is the amount.
No, it's like that any ticket to wherever you want to go, plus this
one way.
But I read it's targeting immigrants that are probably
it's saying that 14 people from
Romanians.
Romania and other people left.
So it's targeting
So it's segregation and not direct.
What do you think about this example?
That's fine.
But this is touching on another issue regarding attitudes towards immigrants and what immigrants are doing in their country and their zero tolerance towards behavior of immigrants. I wanted to say something in the but this is touching on another issue regarding attitudes towards immigrants and what immigrants are doing in their country and their zero tolerance towards behavior of immigrants. I wanted to say something idealistic. I mean, there are some communities that are trying to do this communal housing and living together and sharing and living off-grid and doing their own garden and don't depend on the capitalistic system and so on. So that's something that some people are experiencing, trying to build on in different parts of the world. And squatting on buildings and then sharing resources, helping each other, being off-grid, building their own things and so on. So
I just wanted to just say that you asked what can be the solution, and I think many of Mirtu was saying earlier that the path that is leading there. So I think she was really right that path can be targeted, not like attitude change after, because that can be hard already having this stuckness or this flip when you don't find the way back. But this path is not a moment, so maybe that can be the one to be taken action at the time.
Last comment, and I will like to sum up.
In the 80s, there were some anarchists in Norway. They were homeless and needed a place to stay, and then they occupied one building in Oslo, and then they called it the Blitz House. And then it was the municipalities, and then it was a lot of protests. It also got a lot of negotiations between them and the municipality, and then in the end it became a cultural house.
And they can.
And what about them?
They are still there.
It's okay.
I mean, not living there, I think, but it's used as a culture house.
They're
and they
still occupying it in some ways. Now an NGO in there.
I wasn't intending to say something, but what you mentioned triggered my own interest. And these issues, scientifically, they're called commons. They're practically urban commons. That's what it's called. Collective management or ownership of place, house, garden, area. And what's interesting actually is that many initiatives like this, bottom up, they're not just an illegal case of people supporting something. Actually, many municipalities have taken example of people having the appetite to renovate places and have actually based housing policies on such examples, like giving vacant and empty buildings to communities that are eager to use them, and then repurpose the buildings and then giving new life to them. So actually you mentioned a solution that the scientific community is really interested about.
Guard wants to talk. Should we let him?
I came up with.
I mean, he comes from a country that knows what they're doing.
Yes,
I came up with even one more example. I mean, some of you have been in Hamza. It's 15 minutes from Hamza is a place. 15 minutes from my village. There it was an old, shabby schoolhouse, which was just standing. It was the municipality's problem actually, and then they chose to give this for 1 or 2 crowns. So the 2 artists moved to this village, and bought it for a crown, and then they built up their studios there, and they're friends of us, and they are still running it. Good.
Nice. We heard some nice optimistic examples. Some not so.
Can I say something? In Croatia, in a small island village, we met one woman, and there is like 2 more persons who are just changing their style and detaching from this modern world. And I did with her interview, which I didn't write it, but I got this. I got it from her because she is special for me, because she was from Swiss, and she left her country when after World War, not after World War, sorry, after Croatia and the war, when they split. So she was helping with the children which had after war this depression and problems, and she stayed. And she shared that now she wants 5 couples in Ireland, because but the couple should accept that there is just the culture of like countryside life, and she says she would do nice project with this, because but it should be the people who just are satisfied with the view because they have sheep and other goats, and like country situation they are having own chickens or everything like
in an island.
It's in an island. So she, I just want 5 couple here. So, but the ones who are not so much connected to the modern life, and they can be in peace. And she's an art therapist also with others. So there is 2 more. So like I was saying, maybe we can sing.
So if you are a couple?
Yeah, if you are make a couple maybe. Because she said that if it is because she had found one woman where she was doing, but she will not stay there. She wants some people who would stay, and she said that it's easier to someone to establish there which already have own like. So
nice. We've heard a lot of things, and I just wanted to say last thing actually, and which actually I'm not supposed to say as a joker, but I really want to say this. Because I heard from Romania or from Macedonia something that is very near to the Greek reality 10 years ago. For example, in Greece we were not a communist state, but still there was a culture of ownership, and all families owned the house. And that's something that the last 10 years has started changing dramatically. So something that I don't want to be pessimistic, I'm just saying that...
You're warning us.
I'm just, I'm warning because solutions have to be found before the problem, not before, but you know. And because of the economic and financial crisis in Greece, so people didn't, taxes went higher for ownership, so people didn't have money to pay the taxes, and so they started selling their houses. And of course the houses are sold not to good people, but big businesses, big companies, and etc. And now the whole situation in big cities is changing. So what I want to say is that something that we are used to is changing a lot of times, and it's important to think on alternatives, on, you know,
think ahead.
Think ahead, yes.
You close with this phrase. Very pessimistic.
It's a warning
oh my God.
No!
Please come again. We should think on time or in time.
One last word.
That's what I think.
Yeah, okay, it was not very pessimistic, but I really was thinking about it. Yes, it's over. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.